The Tekken series has been forever changed thanks to Akuma, Geese, Noctis and Negan's inclusion in Tekken 7. These characters made us realise that guest characters were once again possible in the Tekken series for the first time in almost 20 years. Noctis made us realise that they didn't have to be a fighting game character, and Negan made us realise they didn't even have to be a video game character. I have to start with Kazuma Kiryu from the Yakuza series. I've been a huge fan of Yakuza for about 10 years now, and alongside Tifa from Final Fantasy, Kiryu is probably the most requested guest character for Tekken, even prompting responses from developers. He had multiple fighting styles, including martial arts and brawling, such as his original style, which later became known as the Dragon style, Beast style, which includes weapons, the Rush style, which is kind of boxing and maybe a little bit of kickboxing in there, and he has just his brawling style as well. Plus he has his fighting style from Yakuza 6. He does also have his fighting style from Like a Dragon Gaiden. We're very interested to see if they could somehow implement this into his gameplay, as it may be pretty strong if he did have it. So there's a lot of possibility with him gameplay wise, with stances and stuff like that. And it would be really cool in my opinion to have a character in Tekken that is brawling most of the time but then can switch on and use martial arts. Overall, I think Kiryu really fits the vibe of Tekken perfectly, both in terms of gameplay and aesthetics, and I would love to see this character, as would so many other people. Next, I have to mention the Ogre. No, not that one. The Ogre Yujiro Hanma from Baki. Think about it, in Tekken 7 we had 4 guest characters and 3 of them were villains. So Yujiro definitely fits that theme perfectly. Baki has really shot up in popularity in the West in recent years, really since the Netflix adaptation first came out. But the manga is actually even older than Tekken. It actually dates back 3 years before the first Tekken game. Yujiro is stated in the manga to be a master of all martial arts, and we have seen proof of this. So while he does mostly fight with his brute force and just like really overwhelming strength fighting style, he can also tap into a martial arts side and is really intelligent when it comes to fighting. He knows strengths and weaknesses of styles, moves, and is really able to think on his feet. Also, his demon back would just be such a sick heat state. It's like they don't even have to think about it, just heat state turns on his demon back. Yujiro is scary, he's famous, he's popular, he fits super well into Tekken because of his hand-to-hand fighting. I would absolutely love to see Yujiro in Tekken. I'd be so excited. Now for this third one, he was kind of almost in Tekken, or so we thought. I'm going with Solid Snake. You could also say Naked Snake. I don't really mind, but if I could choose, I would choose Solid Snake. He is my favourite character from Metal Gear Solid. As a lot of you probably remember, he was kind of teased at EVO 2019. I mean, we thought he was. It turns out it was actually just kind of a prank by EVO, I suppose. So that was really disappointing. Hopefully they can make it up to us by actually putting him in the game. He's obviously one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. The Metal Gear series is roughly as old as Tekken. Snake is also a hugely successful guest character in the Smash games. I believe he was actually the first guest character in Smash ever. So we know that he can work in fighting games. Also, obviously Snake does use hand-to-hand combat, but he does also use a lot of weapons. We actually see with characters like Nina and Victor that guns do now exist in Tekken gameplay outside of customs. So while I'm sure he wouldn't be fully focused around his guns if he were in Tekken, they could definitely implement it and it wouldn't feel too out of place. I'd love to see his CQC and his CQB in Tekken. I think it would be so sick. A lot of people compare him to Dragunov and say if Snake was in the game, he'd probably fight like Dragunov. But I think Dragunov is a lot more relentless and just ruthless, cold-blooded, whereas Snake would be a bit more refined, maybe have a bit more finesse than Dragunov. I mean, imagine the excitement if Snake was actually revealed. We saw the excitement when we thought Snake was revealed, so now imagine if he actually was. It'd be so sick.
This is Snake. Do you read me, Otacon?
Loud and clear, Snake.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Next up, I'm going to take it back in time a little bit, and I'm going to go for Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. He's an absolute iconic fighting manga protagonist. He even goes back before Dragon Ball. Would love to see Kenshiro in Tekken. I don't think it will happen because he's not hugely relevant in today's day and age. However, I should mention that there is an anime remake coming out soon. So if that really pops off, then who knows, Kenshiro could be a really surprise reveal. Also, Fist of the North Star did get a somewhat recent video game adaptation. I think a lot of old heads would be really happy if he was announced, similar to when Geese was announced in Tekken 7. I should mention as well that I think a lot of people do know who Kenshiro is because Fist of the North Star was a really big meme a while ago with the Omae wa mo shinderu. So while I wouldn't expect him to be announced anytime soon, I do think further down the line it does get more and more possible. He also uses a fictional martial art, so nobody else uses it in the entire game, so that would be really cool.
Good.
Lastly, I'm going with another anime character. I'm going for Ippo from Hajime no Ippo, and alright, I'll hold my hands up, I'm really biased on this one. I just really love Hajime no Ippo, and I know what people are thinking. We already have Steve in the game, he's a boxer, we don't need another boxer. Hear me out. Street Fighter 4, you have Dudley, and you have Balrog. Tekken 5, Tekken 6, we have Hwoarang and Beck. You get my point. I think we can have two characters use the same martial art in the same game, as long as they're kind of different, right? And Ippo is very different from Steve. Steve uses a lot of different stances, he has a lot of finesse. Ippo is a lot more old school, he's a lot more power based. Ippo really likes to just close the gap by just brute forcing his way in there and just really pummeling his opponent. So in some ways, Ippo could kind of be like a combo of Steve and King, in the sense that in Tekken 8, King has his Damage 1+2 armor, so you're not supposed to like run away from the opponent, right? But Steve is obviously the boxer, he's also got Ippo's peekaboo stance. Hey, Steve even had the Dempsey role in Tekken 7, so who knows, maybe they are thinking about it. Those are my top 5 favourites to be in Tekken 8. Who would you like to see in Tekken 8? Let me know in the comments. Stay tuned for next video, guys. Peace.